Hello Alberta, you're watching Program Pride. My name is Todd James, and I'd just like to let you know that this is the very first episode of our second season. We'd like to extend a big thank you to Shaw Cable 10 for renewing us for a second season. As well, we'd like to let you know that everyone involved in this production, both behind the camera and in front of it, are volunteers. Today we're here in sunny downtown Red Deer, outside of the Good Food Company, and we'll be going upstairs in just a few minutes and talking with Patricia from the Central Alberta AIDS Network Society. As well, we have a taped interview with Janice from the Calgary Folk Festival, and as well, we'll be having a conversation with Lenore Lemay from CJSR Radio's program Gaywire. So why don't you come with me and we'll go upstairs and meet Patricia. And we're upstairs at the Good Food Company, and joining us today is Patricia from the Central Alberta AIDS Network Society. Welcome to Program Pride.
Hi, thanks.
So you're here to talk a little bit about AIDS Walk Canada and what the Central Alberta AIDS Network Society is going to be doing to kick off AIDS Awareness Week and all those wonderful things.
Right. I think it's really important that people recognize that AIDS Walk Canada, it's in its second year. It's a really important initiative, and AIDS Awareness Week, in which this walk kicks it off, is a time for AIDS action and politicization. And so by having a national campaign and a national walk that's on one day, which is September 29th, instead of the communities being so scattered, essentially what they can do is band together. And in a time of no national AIDS strategy and a number of other things happening, it's really important that communities recognize September 29th as a time to walk for AIDS action.
Now, you mentioned no AIDS strategy. What exactly is that the federal government is
and that national AIDS strategy is in its second phase, and that will be completed in 1998. And certainly that's one of the reasons why AIDS activists felt it was very important to have a national fundraising campaign, and AIDS Walk Canada is part of that private fundraising campaign. Locally, we will be having an AIDS Walk Canada, but it is not a fundraiser. So it is primarily two-pronged. One of the things is a memorial to those who have died, and the other piece is to kick off awareness for National AIDS Awareness Week.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that. The memorial part, you mentioned when we were talking before we started the interview about a memorial grove. I was wondering if you could tell our viewers a little bit about that.
This is a really wonderful initiative. And was initiated by our board chair last spring, where we planted trees for every person that had died. And the plaque is yet to be unveiled, and we hope, as part of our AIDS Walk Canada on September 29th, to have a commemorative plaque that will be unveiled in our grove. So that's still in the planning stages. I certainly encourage all people in Central Alberta to be aware of that and to watch for advertisement around that, because we would like to link up the memorial for those who have died, as well as political action for those who are living, and with the intent of hoping to extend the national AIDS strategy.
But by having something as national as an AIDS Walk Canada, which would link all of the places like from St. John's, Newfoundland, all the way to Red Deer, Alberta, and beyond, you're linking a lot of the rural areas with urban areas too. I think that's really important, because you're saying HIV and AIDS isn't just something that happens in the big cities, and if you're infected or you're affected with HIV, you're not alone. I think that's really important.
And for years, I mean, certainly before, we've had AIDS walks. Calgary has had an AIDS walk since 1989. They were the first AIDS organization in the province to do so. Certainly in larger centers, it's a lot easier. There are a lot of people who are mobilized, and certainly much higher levels of infection. in rural areas, it's very different because people are isolated and because people are afraid to become public because of the stereotypes and stigma. So if we can have a national campaign, it means that we can have support from larger organizations that have come through a lot of the really difficult work that we are still struggling with here.
Something else, you said there were two-pronged approach. And the second part was AIDS Awareness Week. Now this year it runs from the 30th of September to the 6th of October.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the focus this year for AIDS Awareness Week?
The focus is substance use and HIV/AIDS. It's very important. We're 15 years into the epidemic, and to my knowledge, there has not been a national campaign on substance use, which includes alcohol as well as non-prescription, any kind of non-prescription drug, including steroids. This is really exciting, and it's going to offer some of the smaller communities an opportunity to be more public about the principles of harm reduction and about a group of people, primarily those users, who are very, very isolated. And it's quite parallel to the gay community in the early years. And so it's a really, really important campaign this year.
What I found really incredible was when we talk about sharing needles and things like that, one of the things that are growing is steroid use in high schools. And if you share needles, that's the same thing again.
Yeah, I think that's a very hidden, and we've got a specific steroid project that we're working on here. It's a really difficult area to work in, and I think, again, in terms of most target groups, people have been marginalized and pathologized into particular groups, and it's not our orientation to do that. So this national campaign will allow us to really reach out and, in a sense, sort of normalize different drug uses and different manners and different behaviors of drug use. So it's an exciting time, and also an important time to have a lot of activism in terms of particularly provincial politics in terms of funding.
Exactly. Well, there's certainly lots of work to be done on the HIV/AIDS front, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. And
Could I just say one last thing?
Bet.
Yeah, that if those people who are interested in AIDS Walk Canada at September 29th, to contact your local AIDS organization. They're listed in the telephone book, and to represent and participate as much as you feel that you can in your own community.
Great, and we'll have those coming up in a few minutes, the numbers. Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And up next, there's an interview with myself and Janice Ian. We drove down to Calgary to visit Janice Ian at the Folk Fest, and it's coming up right now. Hi, and we're at the Calgary Folk Festival. I'm Todd Janes, and boy, oh my God, I'm here with Janice Ian.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. It's a little early to be singing, but I'm all right.
Well, you did wonderful.
Thanks.
I'm pumped up after hearing you sing and Terry Morrison. And
yes, great group of people here this year.
Incredible. I was expecting some more raunchy things, but I wasn't sure.
Well, you can't get too raunchy at 10:30 in the morning. It could be dangerous to the liver.
Okay. I'm looking at an article where you were described as, how's this for career survival? Imagine being a 44-year-old female singer-songwriter who hasn't had a hit in 20 years, trying to get a record deal in a business run by older men who worship youth. Toss in a public announcement that you're gay and see if you're besieged by contract offers. That's kind of cutting, isn't it?
Well, I think it's pretty accurate. Yeah. I mean, except for the not had a hit in 20 years. I haven't had a hit in 20 years in the States, but I've had #1 records pretty much everywhere else. So, it's a business that values youth. It's a business that places a premium on malleability, and you're certainly not as malleable or as inclined to trust people when you're older as you are when you're younger.
Is that true for folk music too, though?
I don't know if it's true for folk music. It's kind of hard to be in folk music before you make your bones. I paid a lot of dues for not having paid my dues as a kid. But folk music is a relatively narrow band of the spectrum of music.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about your personal life.
Sure.
Okay. You had a hit when you were knee-high to a grasshopper with Society's Child.
Right.
And you got banned.
Mm-hmm.
The first
record got
14-year-old to get banned
Probably.
and booed,
Probably. Could be, yeah. The radio station. It was about an interracial romance, 2 kids. And even though the woman in it, at the end of it, says that she's not going to see the boy anymore, black boy, white girl, a lot of people were very upset at it even being talked about. I think it's like the gay thing, it's fine what you do so long as we don't have to talk about it. It's like gay people being able to get married. It's fine for us to live together. It's fine for us to not have sodomy laws, but it's not okay to do anything public. It's all the same thing. People are just scared of what they don't know.
And that's a big debate in the States right now.
Huge,
the gay marriage thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's better than gays in the military. I never understood that one. I mean, let everybody else go off to war.
Yeah. Why wear that outfit anyway?
Oh, it's not that bad an outfit.
Well, I've never worn one, so I don't know. You were married
to a man. Yes. Psychotic break.
Yeah. How was that?
Long.
Yeah.
Too long. Too tedious. Yeah. Good to be over.
How? I mean, you came out fairly later on in your life.
No. Actually, I've been living with women since I was 16, 17. I was always out to my family and my friends, and the press were just real good about it. I got outed in 75 by the Village Voice. Banner headline, "Yes, I have slept with women." There I was.
Did you get more dates after that?
No, but I got a lot more offers.
Oh, okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about your music too.
Well, that your accent. About.
Yeah.
It's like Fargo.
See, I thought you had an accent.
I don't have an accent. No, it's you guys who are strange.
Oh, okay, I got that. I really liked your album Breaking Silence.
Good.
I liked it a lot. And I feel kind of embarrassed to talk a little bit about this, but when I was reading some other stuff and when I heard the album and started finding more about your music, there wasn't a lot written. It was, she did Society's Child, da-da-da, and then there was a long period where...
Oh, there was. I mean, after at 17, I toured for almost 10 years, pretty straight. And then in 82, I decided to stop for a while. And it stretched into a 10-year gap. I think in the mid-'80s, late 80s was not a great time for singer-songwriters. And it's crept back around now, but then it was a hard time.
So do you think your music has changed?
I would hope that over 30 years, as I change, the music will change. Hopefully it's gotten better. And when I was a kid, I started writing songs when I was 12. It was pretty much hit or miss. Sometimes I'd luck into a Society's Child, sometimes I wouldn't. By the time I hit my 20s, I was much more consistent. Hopefully the 10 years of just writing and not being a performer or a recording artist taught me a little bit more about writing universal songs, which is really what I want to do.
And you wrote for lots of other people, too.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I mean, I've had songs recorded by Bette Midler and John Mellencamp and Cher and Mel Torme and Vanilla Fudge.
That's quite the range.
Yeah, it's quite a range.
Vanilla Fudge,
Diane Shore. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty good, it's a good life, It's a great life to be a songwriter. It's a piece of luck to be born in a time that values that talent.
So how does it feel when you write a song and someone else records it?
That's great. It's a compliment.
Yeah. It's not, I could have done it differently. Or...
I usually do it differently, but I think, especially in the case of, say, a Mellencamp, where John doesn't do anybody else's material, that's a big compliment, or for Bette, where she gets literally 1,000 songs to go through each album, to be one of the 10 or 12 that she's picked. That's a good compliment, yeah.
Your new album, can we get a zoom in on this, maybe? Janice Ian and Revenge. It's kind of a sassy look.
Good.
Yeah, I like it.
We ran out of clothes. We weren't prepared for the shoot. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Somebody's jacket was laying on the floor, so I grabbed it.
Yeah? Revenge. It's kind of a rough title? Or
I don't know.
Is it an angry title?
I think
or is it
by
ironic,
the time you're in your 40s, you've got a whole big hit list of people,
Okay, a big hit list of people. You mentioned in here you thank your mom and dad. I saw in the liner covers for
raising me to be a Maccabee.
Yeah, that was the line, and allowing me to become myself.
Mm-hmm. I think that goes with the whole attitude of the album. There's a song on the album called "Take No Prisoners," and that's basically what I try to keep in the front of my face now. Is that I am in my 40s. Chances of me touring for more than another 5 or 10 years are pretty slim.
Come on, Tina Turner does it.
Yeah, with a lot of help.
Yeah.
And and I love what I do, but there's a point where you have to look at what you do and say, damn the consequences, full speed ahead. You know, and you can't worry about what people think, whether it's what people think about you being gay or what people think about you being a songwriter or what people think about your records. You can't worry about it. You know, you have to go ahead and do what it is you do. I think it's something to do with the second half of your life, too, you know. I look around and I go, I'm not going to get to do this again, so I better do it right.
Does that come, when did you think that came? Like, you're in the second half of your life now?
It started coming in my late 30s. You know, I think there really is a point where you look at life and you go, I've been real lucky. I've gotten to do most of what I wanted to do in my life, and I got totally financially and emotionally and physically wiped out in the mid-'80s and lost everything.
Damn IRS.
And everybody else, you know, and really, once that happens and you totally bottom out of all this stuff that you think you need, it does something to your head, and you no longer care. It's real hard to blackmail you. It's real hard to force you to do anything because you don't care.
So you don't care. You're a strong, powerful woman. You write for The Advocate.
Yeah.
And some people, I love it. I think it's funny.
Good.
I think sometimes you're controversial. How do you feel when you write that?
Oh, it's great. It's writing. It's a different kind of writing, but it's fun. I mean, I write for The Advocate every other issue, and I write for Performing Songwriter every issue. And it's sort of the spectrum of my life, you know. Isn't it goofy how much people worry about gay people, and isn't it goofy how much people worry about stars? Two opposite sides.
Gay stars.
Gay stars, there you go.
The worst of both worlds, maybe. Or the best.
The best of both worlds. Depends on your attitude.
Do you think The Advocate has gotten a lot more right-wing in the last few years?
I don't know. I don't know.
Bruce Bauer is writing for them now.
I don't know. You know, I disagree with a lot of what the magazine does. I don't like putting people who are not out on covers, or putting people who are straight people on the covers of the gay magazine.
Which they do almost every year.
And I have my own issues with that, but they've got to sell the magazine. And my deal with The Advocate is that I write what I want and there's no editing done.
Cool.
So I can't complain about them.
And I remember reading somewhere that your font type was just a little bit bigger than Melissa Etheridge's.
I suppose that's possible. I would hope so. She's younger.
Yeah. Well, I think we're almost out of time.
Sorry.
I want to ask you a bit about Nashville, though.
Heroes. Last word.
Yeah.
Last word. Fine. Nashville. Nashville's great. I live in Nashville. It's great.
Is there a good queer community there, or is it just a community?
No, there are more queers in Nashville than there are in the entire rest of the world.
All those
I'm
rhinestones.
convinced of it. There's millions of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gay people in Nashville, and it's a good community. You know, it's like any splinter community. It's got its little cliques and its little silly obsessions, but it's fine. I don't know. I don't spend much time there this year, so I'm out of the loop for the gossip. You know.
Okay. Darn, we'll have to catch you next time around.
Yeah, Gossip Central.
Gossip Central. Okay. Any heroes?
Oh, sure. I have tons of heroes. Billie Holiday, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Annie DeFranco.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I think she's great.
Annie DeFranco's one of your heroes.
She's great. It's competition, you know? It's great when you have competition. It's boring if you don't.
Does she drive you? Like, does competition drive you?
Yeah, boy, I heard that first album. I heard my first album of Ani's and put it down, called Pat, and said, I may be in the wrong business. I don't know, you know.
Or maybe you should do a duet.
No, actually, I think she's going to produce something on my next record. So
really?
That'll be great.
Wow, that will be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'd like to thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure.
For giving us a few minutes.
Pleasure. I'm sorry it has to be short. I've got these people waiting.
Well, you have fans. I can't believe I saw a woman with a laminated badge that had a picture of you that said Janice Ian fan.
It's great.
You're like Elvis, only you have better hair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hopefully not that belt either.
Okay. Janice Ian.
Pleasure.
Singer-songwriter.
Thanks, Todd.
Advocate writer.
Singer-songwriter. That's fine.
Hot babe, I'm told.
Yo, dude. Thank you.
Thank you. Red Deer, Calgary, Red Deer again, back at the Good Food Company upstairs, and joining me, I'm so honored, is Lenore Lemay. Lenore and I do a radio show in Edmonton on CJSR called Gaywire, and tell us a little bit about what you and your cohort, Brian, do.
Well, Brian and I do a 15-minute segment as part of the hour on Gaywire, and it's called On a Queer Day. And Brian and I discuss upcoming events, political issues. We just basically talk to one another about issues, about being queer. We love it.
And you guys are so good. You come across so well on the radio that we thought, let's ask Lenore to come down and give us a commentary. And you said yes, and we're just so happy and proud that you could do that.
I'm really excited to be here. I think this is great. So, I love being a dyke, and I'm really proud to be a dyke, but it wasn't always this way. I mean, it took me a while to get to this place. I remember being about 15 years old when I first heard the word lesbian, and something inside I felt really excited. It felt really good. But I also remember feeling kind of afraid too, and I was isolated. This was Fort McMurray. I didn't have really anybody that I could talk to about this. So I remember putting it in the back of my head and thinking, one day I'm going to sleep with a woman. I just didn't know how and when. And this happened when I was about 19. I'd moved away to go to university, and it was a wonderful experience. Even so, it took me about another 5 years to come out, and in that time I called myself bisexual, and that really wasn't true because I never really was bisexual, but somehow it felt more safe and comfortable to say I was bisexual. It felt a little bit more acceptable. So I finally did decide to come out, and that was with the help of other gay people. I mean, I met some gay friends, and that broke some of the isolation, and I was able to begin to discuss with other people my life and the issues that were important to me. So, and I also became a feminist, and that changed my worldview, and I was able to integrate my lifestyle. But everything about my culture told me that it was wrong to be homosexual. I mean, we're lied about, we're hated, we're discriminated against, we're silenced, we're oppressed. So I was very afraid to come out. It felt like a real risk to come out. And I was afraid of losing the love and the acceptance of everyone that I knew and cared about. So why did I decide to do it? At some point, the cost just felt too great. You know, the cost of lying about my life. I felt like I wasn't having authentic relationships with people because I had to lie about something that was so basic to me. So I decided to take the risks, and I started by telling my parents, and they didn't react well. And I told my siblings, and they were more supportive. And I began to tell close friends, and they were supportive. So that gave me the courage to continue to be who I was. And I find that coming out is a continuous process. It goes on every day in small ways and in big ways. It's things like with my coworkers naming Debbie as my partner, because everybody assumes that we're all straight. And so until we challenge that assumption by talking about our partner, using that term, using her name, it changes that. So walking down the street holding hands, making issues that are important to me, making coworkers and straight people aware of them, like changing their awareness. I'm wearing this shirt because I wanted to tell you a story. Debbie and I were at the folk festival this weekend in Edmonton, and I decided to wear this dyke t-shirt. And I felt a little bit vulnerable, and it's interesting because I've been out now for quite a long time, but I still felt kind of afraid for my safety. And Debbie and I were walking holding hands through the crowds, and a young woman yelled out and applauded me. She said, "That's a great shirt, I love it." And then another young woman came up to me and thanked me and thanked us, and she said, "I'm really glad that you're both so visible and you're both so out. And we need people to be out. We need to change awareness." So I only got really positive response. So I was happy about that. So that was really great. Coming out for me has been a really fabulous experience. It breaks my sense of isolation. It validates me. It affirms me. It connects me to a sense of community. It was wonderful. So, and it normalizes our experience. It makes us visible to the world. We're here. And so I would like to encourage and invite you to come out. Give yourself this incredible gift of authenticity, self-awareness, and freedom.
I think everyone is at different stages of coming out, and not everyone can be bang out proud right away. There were two events in particular that we wanted to be at, we wanted to cover this year. One was the Gay Rodeo, organized by ARGRA, and the second was the Great Alberta Campout. And the organizers weren't comfortable with us being there. And I mean, for me, there are two different things. On one level, I can sense that because they were worried about people being shown or outing people accidentally and things like that. And that fear is real. I mean, in Alberta, you can still lose your job. You can, be kicked out of your apartment. You can be discriminated against in restaurants and stuff like that. And you can be subjected to violence. There's still gay bashings that go on all the time. And the fear is real out there,
Yeah, and it's also internal too, right? There's still a fear of being outed. Even with a gay media. I mean, even though you were really talking about being respectful of space and you wouldn't film anyone who didn't want to be filmed, etc., it was still a fear for some people that somehow this information would get out there and they could, so it's internal and external. I can understand it. It's unfortunate, though, because I know that we really wanted to be at those kinds of events to say this is what's happening in Alberta, this is what, queer people are doing. And
and I think there's a difference there too, in that I guess there needs to be a level of faith, and trust in these are our gay brothers and sisters, and they're media and they're doing something, and there needs to be that trust there, and that respect, us respecting their space, but them also trusting us to go there, and
to have
be
discretion.
respectful.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's tough, And I thank you so much for being such a fabulous, colorful rainbow dyke.
Thank you.
and joining us. And hopefully you'll come back.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Good. Okay.
Something neat just happened. After we finished filming the last segment with Lenore and myself, where we were talking about internalized homophobia, a young guy came up from the Good Food Company and told us how encouraged he was and how positive he thought it was that we really knew who we were. And we were talking about that on camera and portraying a positive role model for people out there. That's really encouraging and positive, and we'd like to hear more positive things. If you have any questions or comments or any positive comments about the show, please call the Shaw response line, and the number's coming up at the end of the show. We'd also like to thank the Good Food Company for being such a great host this weekend. And as well, this is our very first show with sponsorship. And we'd like to thank them very much for their support. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next month. Take care. Flowers by Janice in downtown Edmonton. Beautiful, fresh and dry arrangements for all occasions. Call them at 428-8000 or 1-888-428-ROSE. Stonewall Connections, worldwide gay and lesbian travel, tours, and groups. Make the connection. Call 250-3061 or 1-800-360-8773. Westways Guest House, a charming and relaxing bed and breakfast in a period home near downtown Calgary, catering to all communities. Call Jonathan at 229-1758. Labyrinth Lodge, this affordable, comfortable, all-season retreat for your group. 45 minutes from Edmonton. Call 878-3301.